Welcome to the Entrepreneur Podcast, filled with marketing and leadership tips on launching and growing your business with your host, Deanne Mora.
If you're looking for tips on how to increase sales, this is the episode for you. Today on the podcast, I have author, speaker, and sales coach, Simon Severino. Simon is a TEDx speaker, fellow podcast host, Forbes writer, and founder of Strategy Sprints. He's worked with recognizable brands like Amgen, Google, Abbvie, and more. He has a wealth of knowledge to share with us on how quickly we can add revenue to our business, and I'm excited to hear his advice. Simon, welcome to the podcast.
Hey, Diane. Hey, everyone. Happy to be here.
Wonderful. Well, let's start with your story. You've been consulting with companies on business strategy for a long time, but how did this all evolve into what you're doing now?
I was lucky enough. I studied philosophy and psychology, but in the 90s, the big strategy advisory firms, they were looking for people independently of what they had studied. They just wanted the top grades, like just show me that you can think and have a structured way of problem solving, then you're in. And so I get, okay, I have great grades. And so I was in. And then in this global advisory, I was like, me. Everybody was like, hey, we can do market entry strategy for this big company in Paris. It's tomorrow. Who is in? Everybody was, no, not tomorrow. And I was like, me. And then from there, we can fly to Beijing and we can merge these two companies. Who is in? And we go, oh, not again. And I put me. So basically, in consulting, it's up or out. And so I was up. And then at some point, I had no life. So I said, can I do this maybe on my own, a bit more relaxed? And so I went on my own, started my own consultancy. And now I help people with go-to-market, so sales and marketing. And I do it on my own, so I don't have to work that much. And I have 3 kids now. I can play with them. And then much went online, so I can have a much better day. Like I can play with my kids, make breakfast for them, then go for a run, then coach a couple hours. Now I have a much more, if you want, healthy day that I am on my own. But one thing that I had to learn is sales. So how to do sales in the digital age. And yeah, this is also what we will be discussing, right? How do you do sales and marketing in the digital age, in the different stages of your business?
I think we've lived parallel lives. I can certainly relate to those consulting days where it literally was up or out, and whoever was ready to volunteer and move. And I can't tell you how many corporate moves where I think my life was in boxes half of the time. It's crazy. So I feel your pain and definitely the need to get out of that rat race. And this isn't sales is clearly the way to do that. So our listeners tend to be mostly entrepreneurs and startup founders, or those who would like to be. And many of them are in the services industry. So they may be physicians, they may be attorneys. And if you talk to them, they don't feel like they're salespeople, even to go out to a networking event. A lot of them feel like, oh, maybe, especially physicians, I think a lot of them feel like, oh, I don't know if it's appropriate for me to be out there. And, because they're supposed to be the expert professionals behind the desk, if you will. So what are your thoughts on how someone who is a licensed expert professional should think about and approach sales?
Let me give you an example from somebody that I admire, and she is a physiotherapist. She also happens to be my wife, Francisca. And so I have direct experience of how it is. You have your office, right? Your people coming to you as a physiotherapist. They come to you, you have an hour with them. And so let's say you want to go for a holidays, a month. Like we do a month of holidays every year in summer. We like to be a month at the beach. So you come back after a month that your office is closed. Sometimes it takes forever until you get to full capacity again. So you have to restart marketing. So Francisca had this challenge and goes, wait a moment, what can I do to have a steady flow of patients, even if I drop out for a month, or sometimes she drops out for 6 months because we're having babies. So if I drop out for 6 months, but I want to come back, and in the first day, I want to have people lined up full capacity again, is that possible? She experimented with marketing. She improved her marketing. Now she comes back after 6 months. We have 3 kids. So she's coming back now after kid number 3. And I kid you not, week 1, her office is full. They are lined up. There is not one open slot in her office right now because she was smart. She created a little franchise where other people were out there in the parks doing that with her logo on, running clinic, all the same colors. So that's a marketing device.
Branding, very important.
Branding. And then she had a Facebook group where those people would post about their experiences and become, peer coaching each other. So she created a full community. And that community, those people are ambassadors. They're telling all their friends, oh, you have this? Oh, you should go there. So she comes back and everything is running. Just with a little bit of branding and a little bit of positioning and marketing, she was able to have, a steady flow of clients, which I guess every doctor wants to have, right? And we're talking 1-2 hours per day of marketing because she has 3 kids, so she doesn't have unlimited time to do these things, right? But this is one example. If you're a physician, physiotherapist, somebody who says, hey, I am the work, you might want some marketing systems, some sales systems that fill pipeline even while you sleep, and that are flywheels that other people run for you so that you have more autonomy. You might want to get out for a week and just learn a new technique, or get out for a week and just enjoy life. If you have a marketing system that fills your pipeline, you can do that. Otherwise, you are actually in a rat race.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely.
Not so funny.
And you talk about community. So that's, I think, something that's becoming more and more important in marketing. I think you're absolutely right. And I think, community, like especially in the healthcare space, can work really well because you have, as an expert provider, you have knowledge to share, and you can run lives on Facebook and have somebody managing your group for you outside of the time that you're popping in for a 30-minute live, once a week or however often that you're doing it. And you've built community as well with your business. So that's not something that I think everyone understands how to do. Could we talk a little bit about how you start that community when maybe you're a doctor, you see patients all day? How do you go from that to now I have a vibrant community on Facebook and they're all referring people?
Community is the new marketing. Marketing is over. Nobody likes it. Community is amazing. Everybody loves a good community. When I have to pick a CRM software, first I Google it, right? And then I land on YouTube. And on YouTube, I see, oh, this CRM software has 0 community. This other CRM software has people posting about how they use it, people posting about how to repair a bug, people sharing their own templates. Oh, this software has a vibrant community. I go with the one that has a community.
You're right.
Because it's less risky. I know it's kind of working. And it's more fun. I know if I have a question, I just Google it.
Yep. Yeah, and I think people have become more like sheep. Like, where it's the same thing with reviews. We want to buy from whoever has the most reviews.
Reviews, because it de-risks the decision.
100%. 100%. But how do you start? So it's like you're talking about essentially the network effect, right? It kind of grows and grows. But, you're the physician, you're, seeing patients all day, and you listen to this podcast and you think, oh, community, I need to start a community. So do you just start one and then you tell your patients and, you have 2 people, then 4 people, then 8 people, and so on and so on? Or is there a trick to get your community to grow more quickly?
First thing that we do with our clients is we help them get quickly over 100 Google reviews from their current clients, friends, etc., so that they get the minimum proof that there is something going on there, that it's good. The second thing, because you want to de-risk the decision. The second thing is we help them build up client testimonials in a way that actually works. So there is a phase and there is a sentence and there's a problem description and the transformation description and the outcome.
Mm-hmm.
And then you have some of those, right? And there is a very specific way in which we help them do it. And then the next thing that you want to have is you put together people who benefit from talking to each other. So for example, my doctor, who is specialized in triathletes, right? And I am a triathlete. He knows 200 triathletes. So if he says, guys, would you like to meet the others? We would say, oh yeah, these are nerds. The only 200 idiots like me that want to talk about stuff that only I care about. Of course, yeah, let me meet the others. All right, I'll put you together. This is the price. Of course, yeah, I'm paying the price. I want to meet my tribe. So if you are a marketeer and you are teaching people how they do YouTube, hey guys, want to talk to other people who are also growing their YouTube channel? Oh my God, yeah, I can talk about, hey, who you use for editing? How do you come up with the title? So if there is a reason for them to connect that creates value, you can immediately charge money for that. And usually, if you are a service provider, usually, in most cases, I immediately find a way if you just start with the first 5, because you asked about the starting point.
Yes.
5. Just get the 5 in. Not for free. Don't do that. You will have problems later. 5 at 75% of the costs that you want to have later. Why 75%? Because you want the right people in for the right reasons. But as soon as you have 5, they start having value from each other. And then you need specific, we call them quests, but let's say topics. Let's say each month has a topic. We have 60 days quests. For example, our community, our mastermind is $9,000 a year. It's for entrepreneurs that come together to accelerate their sales. So for 60 days, the topic is prospecting. Then the next 60 days, the topic is closing. It's sales-related topics, and every 60 days are dedicated to improving, refining one of those, and they get 3 valuable pieces. So if you are, let's say you're a doctor, and let's say you have marathon runners who come with their bad knees, and you want to put them together, your community has 3 jewels. The Buddhists call them the 3 jewels: Buddha, Dharma, Sangha. So Buddha is the person that comes to you. They actually know everything about their knee, but they need some help in connecting to that knowledge, to that wisdom. And then there is Dharma, which is the teaching. Whatever your process is, that's your Dharma. And then there is the Sangha. Sangha is the community of peers. It's the other marathon runners. You can ask them stuff that you wouldn't ask your guru. For example, you wouldn't talk for an hour about which shoes to wear, right? Because it's a bit boring for the guru, but it's super interesting for your peers. Oh my God, you have the ASICs? No, I moved to New Balance. Okay, they could talk about that for hours. So, and that's the good part of having this triangle, Buddha, Dharma, Sangha. And you can charge for that because that is pure value for them. And it's also more scalable for you. That might be, for example, moving from one-on-one work to group work.
Mm-hmm.
For example, in my community, the 200K club, because it adds 200K to their life. Every Monday, I do group coaching, pipeline coaching. Come on, people, tell me, how are you feeling your pipeline? What's in your pipeline? What can we help you close today? And so if you're a doctor, it might be, hey, it's Monday, let's talk about your sleep quality. And it's Thursday, let's talk about how you eat.
Mm-hmm.
It's Friday, let's talk about movement. That is value.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's in that case, the doctor is the expert. And let's say, just for argument's sake, that we're doing this as part of a private Facebook group. So they pay a monthly subscription, they get access to the private Facebook group. The doctor comes in, 2-3 times a week, however often, but they might be coming in for 15-20 minutes and just sharing some knowledge. And then the rest of the time, the community is engaging about the topics that they're most interested in, it sounds like.
Yeah. Be careful with Facebook groups, because when you jump into a Facebook group, you are pulled away to something else. You see that your cousin is marrying. You say, what? My cousin is marrying? What's going on? You didn't invite me. And so
and then there's the cat videos, and then it's like this whole thing that
exactly, yeah. What? Bitcoin is what? And so boom, you're away. Right. So
that's the typical interaction.
that's my day, at least. So pick something where you have their attention and it's not so easy for them to be pulled away. So we use Slack for that. Other communities use Circle. They're not perfect in many ways, but at least you have the attention where you want it to be, and it's not that easy to pull them away.
Yeah, that's very true. And you can pull them all into a huddle on Slack, so they can still see you. So, all right. So now we've talked about building the community. So that's one important component. And, as you're launching and growing your business, at the beginning, it's, most people start as solopreneurs unless they're funded startups. So, they're selling, delivering, doing it all. So at what point do you know that you need to hire your first salesperson?
Hiring is something that I wish I would have done earlier. Now I have a rule, and the rule is 1/3. As soon as they can do something that you would do in an hour, and they can do it at 1/3 of your costs, do it. So for example, if you post on LinkedIn and you can find somebody that can post on LinkedIn, but it costs you 1/3 of what you cost your company, that's the right moment to do it.
That's the no-brainer decision. And does that continue? So as you're looking at when you hire the second salesperson and the third person, like how do you go from, so you've hired, now you need to bring someone in. And I think, honestly, if you get that initial salesperson on your team, I mean, it can be just, life-changing. Because I think a lot of entrepreneurs don't realize how much time they're actually personally spending selling, and just, how nice it is to have someone else doing that. The challenge, of course, is when you're going from the entrepreneur to that first salesperson, they kind of need to be you in a sense. So, how do you, a lot of times at that point in our evolution, we don't necessarily have SOPs documented yet. And so how do you transition that knowledge and help that first salesperson to be effective?
So with most of our clients, we start with them hiring a personal assistant. That personal assistant starts writing down the SOPs. So she would ask you, hey, Diane, how are you doing marketing? And then start writing it down. Hey, Diane, how are you doing sales? And she writes it down. Hey, Diane, how do you do the client delivery? We call this operations. She starts writing it down. After a couple of weeks, you have a map of what you're actually doing. What will happen here is, and this is great to have a coach in that stage, because they will look at it and say, oh, look, this one you can simplify, this you can cut, this you can automate. Those two things, if you do them in the different order, isn't it much better? Oh, yeah, it's much better. And I think you can charge 25% more for this part. Oh, really? I can? Oh, yeah, you can. So that's usually the conversation in that stage. Now you have one assistant on your team. If you really like them and they're reliable, now pull them in full-time. Now you have your first full-time person. And the easiest thing to give away now is the marketing part. The next thing is the operations. You don't want to do all the client work on yourself. The day my life changed was really when I fired myself from operations. I got back 40 hours a week. Doesn't mean that I had nothing to do. I started writing my first book. I started going on daily on podcasts, giving a TED talk. So now you can start doing the higher leverage activities. you still have a full week.
And then you're top of funnel. So you're just those activities as a founder, you're attracting people that others in the company can then, hopefully sell and onboard and deliver to.
The last piece that I then really delegate is the sales piece. And I think this is the hardest piece, because now you need a sales script. You need a flow of things. In our case, we do 8 things in a sales call. And so those 8 things are these yellow pyramids there. So I had to write it down. Then I use the software that coaches my team. So I bring in salespeople. I bring them first in as an appointment setter, set appointments, talk to strangers, get them on our calendar. That's the appointment setting role. If they do that well for 6 months, then I start training them as a closer. A closer is the person that wakes up in the morning, has a full calendar, and closes the deals. Very different skill set, completely different training. Because the first one you have to train for digesting rejections. They get hung up all the time. And so the second one you have to train for being a high caliber consultant, actually. They have to be like a strategy consultant, somebody that you really trust. You tell all your problems because you really trust that they will sort them out and help you take your best decision, not theirs. So it's really not sales that you're training. You're training problem solving and being a great guide, a great listener. And so for them, we have these 8 steps. We train them. Then we have this software giving them feedback. Hey, look, 4 times you did it well, but the 5th time you skipped step 5. So you need to train them for a while. That takes another 2 months. And now they're good to go. And now you can give them half of your calendar. Okay, you do 3 days and I do 2 days.
Interesting. So as you're bringing in that sales team, what are your thoughts on commission versus no commission?
That's a great question. And I wish there was a simple answer, because you need to find your balance. I can tell you the range and the pros and cons. So let's start with full commission. This is where our team is. Our team is 100% commission. But that's hardcore. And, we come from consulting, so it's up or go. And this is our culture. So it's 100% commission. The negative is you have always high pressure, which means most people will go or burn out, or you will have a higher fluctuation. So if you go full commission, you have a staying rate that is 3 to 6 months. So you have to continually hire. That's the negative part. The positive part is you have a great performance culture, which means you have only winners on your team. Sometimes you don't know the people because it's, who are you? So you have new people all the time, but it's just winners. The winners stay, the losers go. And so that's the positive part, a very performative culture. Now, if you want that, you have to have solid SOPs, because you might know on a Friday that you need to hire starting Monday. So you need click, checklist, LinkedIn job description, go. And so we have those SOPs. They are chapter 12 and chapter 13 of the Strategy Sprints book. And so if you go for that, use those 2 chapters, please, literally. They are the literal checklist on what to do, because you have to be very efficient in hiring and onboarding. Now let's go to the other extreme. Full-time equivalents, full employed, zero stress, zero pressure. Well, the positive part is they can relax, so they will be better listeners. You have more time to train them. Negative part is you're increasing the risk on the owner side, and you are the owner, so you will sleep very, very badly over the next 6 months. And as soon as there is a bad sales month, you will feel like the biggest idiot on the planet, because you are paying everybody, but the company is not getting paid. And those moments will happen. So you are decreasing the resilience of the overall company. That's the negative side. On the positive side, you have the same people all the time around. So you
Less
can go
training,
deeper
less
with them.
turnover. Yep.
It's like a marriage, you know, you can go much, much deeper, getting to know them much deeper. And there is generally probably your meetings are more fun because there is less stress in the meetings. And so you have a more relaxed atmosphere. That's the positive part. Negative, well, the losers stay around much longer.
Hmm. So
And
you need the KPIs to be able to identify who needs to go because they're not going to self-select.
nobody will go in that scenario because they don't have to. They're getting paid a lot. They will find excuses about their performance. You will have them forever. And so somewhere in between is probably the golden way. And you have to find your, in that spectrum, you have to find where you fit best and try a couple of those things.
Yep, that makes sense. So as you land on whichever that model is that's right for your business, and as you're growing your sales team, are the salespeople all initially still working for the owner, or at some point you bring in a sales manager, and is it necessarily the first salesperson becomes the sales manager because they know the business best, or how does that process work?
Oh, that's great. This is complicated because now you have to build the next SOP, which is sales manager. You didn't have that so far. Sales manager means you have to install 2 meetings per week and you have to train them. First, you show them how to do it, and then you get them to run the bus. But before they can run the bus, you have to build the bus. And so what's the bus building part? You have to install 2 meetings. And please, everybody listening, take notes, okay? It took me 20 years to develop this. You are getting this very quickly. So you need 2 meetings per week. One is called the pipeline meeting. One is called the deal review. This is very important as soon as you have more than 3 salespeople. And now the sales manager must start this meeting on time, run it exactly as I tell you in the next 5 minutes, and end it on time. This is important. So first meeting, let's say it's on Tuesday, it's the pipeline meeting. Pipeline meeting, you look at the overall pipeline by sales stages. What are sales stages? This is also an SOP that you need. And sales stages might be initial call, 10% probability, and then you move it forward. I know who the decider is, 20%. I know what the budget is, 40%. I've sent an offer, 60%. I've closed it, 100%. So that's sales stages, for example. The goal of the pipeline meeting is first round, every person reports, these are the opportunities that I created this week. This is the next step that I've scheduled with them. And that's the dollar value. And everybody reports first, and then sales manager goes second. This is very important for the pipeline meeting. The deal review meeting is where you pick one of those and go deeper during the meeting. So one takes around 20 minutes and you go a little bit deeper. What are we learning about the client? What are we learning about what they need? What's the probability of success? And this is where you need to coach them. That's why we use a software that has AI in there and that literally tracks the 8 stages. So you might have a sales script that has 5 stages. And so they need coaching on those. So either you watch the recordings and coach them and give them hints on what to improve in each stage, or you have an AI that does that for you. But you need to coach them and train them on those 2 things. That's why you need a pipeline review meeting. Without a pipeline review meeting, you don't have a culture of opportunity creation.
Talk to me more about that.
So without that, you are only the owner cares about sales. Because, hey, it's your company. So it's your job. And if you accept that, oh boy, you will have a very, very stressful life, and you will always be in an imbalance. You will always feel like, oh my God, why am I the only person who cares about growth here? Don't you see that opportunity there? No, that's your job. So you have to install a culture of opportunity creation, meaning everybody, whatever their role is, actively looking for opportunities, actively looking for moving things into the pipeline, moving things forward in the pipeline. And if you don't have that, you will be the only person who makes sales. And that on the long term, that's a very low resilience for your company, very risky situation.
I mean, that sounds like business nirvana. That's great. So which entrepreneur would not want to have a culture of opportunity where everyone is identifying potential growth areas for the company, but assuming they're not there and they haven't built that culture yet, how do they transition? How do they, walk me through sort of the path? Like, does the owner just announce one day and say, we're going to have a culture of opportunity and, here's how it's going to work?
You invite them to 2 meetings per week. Hey, welcome. It's Tuesday. Welcome to the pipeline review meeting. Round 1, everybody will share which opportunities did you create this week. Round 2, I will coach you on whatever I heard. Plus, on Friday, we will dive deeper into 2 of the things that you mentioned here. We will pick them together based on their strategic relevance. So it will be the most interesting deals.
So then they start to get
my job will be to coach you. Your job is to look for opportunities and move them forward.
So it sounds like you're saying that if you want everyone in your company to think like a salesperson, you have to treat them like a salesperson.
Bingo. Oh, that's good. That could be a t-shirt. Yes, it's really good.
We're getting those printed after the show.
Yes, that's exactly. And you have to coach them like a sales coach. So now you are their sales coach. Of course, you can also hire an external sales coach. That's what my team does. If you want us, we can coach them. But you have to coach them. Otherwise, there are skills that they need to learn and they will be afraid. For example, let's say you have your general assistant, executive assistant. They go, well, I'm not doing sales. So I didn't create any opportunity. Then you ask, really? So let's go through your day. Like, what did you do? Well, I went on LinkedIn, I did this. Oh, LinkedIn. Who commented on our recent posts? Well, 25 people. Okay. How many of those are not current clients and would be worth following up with? 12. Okay. How many of those meet our ideal client criteria, the 5 criteria that we defined? 6. Can you get them on my calendar? Sure. So you see, that was the transformation. You do this for a couple of weeks, you are transforming each role into a role that is also interested in growth opportunities, in pipeline. But you have to make it interesting first.
Make it relevant.
By showing that it's interesting for you, by sharing your passion, and also by coaching them, because they will need help.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. So you did allude to strategy coaching. So talk to us more about strategy sprints. What resources are available to entrepreneurs who want to grow their business?
Yeah, so this is what we do. We are the sales coaches for solopreneurs, for teams, also for bigger teams who need that extra help in setting up those meetings, running these meetings, making sales fun and keeping it fun, because it can be horrible if you don't run it this way. So this is what we do. We help one-on-one. We have also groups and communities that help, and so-called expansion teams that helps. And people can find many of our tools actually for free and use them totally free. It's open source. It's at strategysprints.com. Literally, the checklists that I use to hire and onboard salespeople, they are in the book. The book, it's called Strategy Sprints. It's on Amazon. This is basically what we do.
Wonderful. It sounds like a great opportunity to get some resources, to learn more. And if people want to reach out to you directly, what's the best way for them to connect?
LinkedIn, Simon Severino, X, Simon Severino, or strategysprints.com.
Wonderful. That's a great. Simon, this conversation has been very valuable. I think the way that you've broken things down for our listeners into actionable steps is very, very helpful. And hopefully our listeners will have received a great amount of value as I did today. I really thank you for being on the podcast.
Thank you, Diane, for showing up with consistency for your community week by week.
Thank you. I appreciate that. That's what we do.